tonight's discussion is going to get into a bit of a commentary that I've been meaning to do for quite some time when it comes to the alleged events which transpired back in 2006 between the sex workers known as Stormy Daniels, Alana Evans, and our current president, Donald Trump. And the reason I want to do a commentary on the situation revolving around the alleged affair, aka tryst, aka liaison between Trump and Stormy Daniels, is because I feel like the mainstream media kind of romanticized it, left out what I feel may have been some important details as to how the sex work industry at that time worked, and just a few other things. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So let me just bring up my notes. Now, first off, for those of you who have been living under a rock and who may not be aware of what I'm getting into, back in 2006, Stormy Daniels, who at the time I believe was of Wicked Pictures, an adult content company, she had some sort of a sexual interaction with Donald Trump at Lake Tahoe. Okay? And the reason that this situation ever even gained any ground had to do with a supposed hush money payment that was issued to her later that allegedly had campaign ties or Russian ties. Now that's a whole another podcast that we'll talk about another day, okay? We're not going to get into that. What I want to get into is the question of why is it that Stormy Daniels never did any prison time for prostitution? Now, I already know the answer to that question, but many of you may not. The answer to that question has to do with white privilege. Stormy Daniels may want to define herself as an adult actress. The reality is that she is a sex worker, and Lake Tahoe is not in the legal counties of Nevada where prostitution is legal. Okay? That woman, from my perspective, committed an illegal act. She should have done jail time. Her counterparts of other ethnicities who are not as privileged as she is, on a day-to-day basis, are arrested for hooking. But for some reason, she never was. And it is important to remember that the situation revolving around Trump was not the first time that she was thrust into the political spotlight. She also was involved in politics back in 2010 in the state of Louisiana. That's actually another podcast that I need to do one day. Let me just go ahead and read the interaction, the story to you that is supposed to be what happened that night between Stormy Daniels, Alana Evans, and Donald Trump, because it's very important that I do discuss Alana Evans' involvement in this situation, because she loves to go on TV, and her real name is Dawn Dangard, by the way. That's publicly known. She's a public figure, and frankly, it's kind of ridiculous that she still uses the name Alana Evans, because she's not an active porn star anymore. She's a freaking overweight grown woman. Use your damn real name, bitch. But anyway, she likes to go on TV and claim that Trump wanted her to join the party. I don't think that was the case at all, because she was in a completely different category from Stormy Daniels when it comes to the realm of being a sex worker. Alana Evans is very well known for her interracial scenes, and for the most part, privileged white males such as Donald Trump do not want to hire a sex worker who has done interracial when they are white women. It's a stigma. It's I'm not saying it's right to feel that way. It does, link to racism, but that's the fact. That's the truth. Alana Evans has never been in the category of many of the other women from her era due to the fact that she went against her own personal qualms when it comes to black people. She's an incredibly racist woman, but I guess she needed money at some point, so she did the interracial porn, and that knocked her out of the running when it came to being able to do sex work with some of the elite in society, like Stormy Daniels apparently has been able to do. All right. But to this day, Alana likes to say that Trump wanted her to join the party. Just due to what I explained, I feel that that is not true. I feel that in actuality, Alana Evans was Stormy Daniels' madam or pimp, aka sex trafficker. After I read this, I'm going to explain to all of you how the illegal sex work industry operated at that time and exactly why Stormy Daniels likely was consistently calling Alana Evans throughout this alleged meeting that she had with Trump, okay? Now, what I'm going to read to you is from Haaretz.com. It's an article titled, "Porn Star Says Trump and Stormy Daniels Invited Her for Threesome." Fellow adult film star Alana Evans confirms the 2006 affair between the U.S. president and Daniels, but says she declined the invitation. And see, that's what I think the lie is. I don't think that invitation ever happened. I think that in actuality, Stormy was calling Alana for another reason, but we'll get to that shortly. After a report last week that U.S. President Donald Trump paid a former adult film star to keep silent about their short-lived affair in 2006, another porn star confirmed the account and said that the couple invited her to join them in Trump's hotel room. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump's lawyer arranged a $130,000 payment for Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, as part of a non-disclosure agreement that was completed a month before the 2016 election. The two reportedly met at a July 2006 celebrity golf tournament on the shore of Lake Tahoe. Over the weekend, the Daily Beast reported that Alana Evans, another adult film star who was a close friend and neighbor of Daniels at the time, happened to run into her during the event. Quote, "Stormy said she met Donald Trump and then tells me about the golf tournament and how she's supposed to hang out with him later that night, and she invited me." End quote. Quote, "Stormy said Donald knew exactly who she was and wanted to meet her." Now I'm going to pause right there, actually, because I didn't even realize this about this article. They're citing the Daily Beast as a credible source, okay? Now, that's so ironic to me because I just posted a multi-part piece revolving around Kelly Madison and Ryan Madison and some recent rape allegations that just came to light. And the rape allegations, when it came to the mainstream media injection, is none other than the Daily Beast again. So it seems like the contact point between the adult entertainment industry and the Daily Beast is Alana Evans. But Alana Evans is not a credible person. She's a goddamn illegal prostitute. I don't think that Daily Beast is properly vetting their sources. They might want to stop doing what they're doing, rethink what they're doing, and change their journalistic practices, because they're going to end up getting themselves in big trouble if they don't stop what they're up to. Evans said that later that evening, she received 4 or 5 phone calls from Daniels asking her to join the party. During the last 2 calls, Evans said Trump... Wait, someone's in the chat. Exactly, someone in the chat, and I'll reread that paragraph, but someone in the chat said Daily Beast is run by amateurs. Yes, it may be, but there's something going on that is majorly affecting political history that's revolving around the Daily Beast and Alana Evans, and that shouldn't be. That is what needs to be stopped. Stormy said she met Donald Trump and then tells me about the golf tournament and how she's supposed to hang out with him later that night, and she invited me. Stormy said Donald knew exactly who she was and wanted to meet her. End quote. I believe that those two sentences are lies. Evans said later that evening she received 4 or 5 phone calls from Daniels asking her to, quote, join the party. I believe that's true, but I don't think that the phone calls were to join the party. It was for another reason. During the last 2 calls, Evans said Trump spoke to her, telling her, oh, come on, Alana, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. Come to the party. We're waiting for you. End quote. I believe that's a lie. Evans declined the invitation and turned off her phone, telling the Daily Beast that, quote, men like him scare me because they have so much power, end quote. I think that men like him do scare her, but I think that the reason that they scare her has to do with them knowing that over the years she has acted as a booker, aka sex trafficker, aka madam, aka pimp. When they talked the next day, Evans asked Daniels how her night was, to which Daniels reportedly answered, quote, all I'm going to say is I ended up with Donald in his hotel room. Picture him chasing me around his hotel room in his tidy whities, end quote. According to the Daily Beast, Evans said that Daniels then told her that Trump offered her the keys to his condos in Florida. I think that part's true, and the reason that he would offer those keys would be to hold as collateral. Michael Cohen, an attorney who worked for Trump during that time, told the Journal that, quote, President Trump once again vehemently denies any such occurrence, as has Miss Daniels. If the reports are true, the affair would have taken place a year after Trump married his wife, Melania. All right, so now let's get to what my whole point of this podcast tonight is. My whole point is that when I read that paragraph in regards to Evans stating that she received 4 or 5 phone calls from Daniels asking her to, quote, join the party that night, here's my theory, and I'll bet you I'm right, when it comes to why Stormy would have called Alana. Not for a threesome. Like I said, Donald Trump would not have wanted to be with Alana due to her ties to interracial porn. I'm serious as a heart attack when I say that, okay? It just is what it is. But back in that time, around, you know, the early 2000s, 2000 to 2010, when prostitutes would go to meet high-end Johns, oftentimes the way that they would get paid by the John would be via credit card, okay? Now, sometimes the Johns would prepay in advance over the phone. They would make like a false purchase for something that's, you know, noted as a certain price online, and the hooker would get her money that way, okay? But before the, you know, internet payment processing became what it is today, the hooker would not take any cash from the John. She would instead call up her pimp or madam once she meets with the John and they've negotiated a rate or a price, and the pimp or the madam would charge the John's credit card by taking the credit card number over the phone. Let's say that Stormy, you know, just theoretically were to charge Trump, let's say $2,000 for an hour, right? Maybe $2,000 for 30 minutes. Who knows, right? So, you know, they get going and everything. Stormy, you know, she's a professional adult actress, so she's very sexually skilled at prolonging the engagement. She, you know, that half hour or hour may have gone or turned into multiple hours. So she would have to keep consistently calling whoever is pimping her to recharge the credit card, who has always been very proficient when it comes to online marketing, when it comes to the adult entertainment industry and other elements having to do with sex trafficking online. Alana Evans. How do I know this? Well, there's actually evidence, and there's evidence on something called the Erotic Review. Actually, the Erotic Review has some issues over the years, and I think it was pimps behind those issues trying to get some evidence offline that the Erotic Review contains in regards to their activity. All right, now, again, this happened around 2006. There's clear evidence of Alana Evans having been a very active escort at that time. Here is a post from, let's see, 10 years ago. This is a post by somebody who uses the alias Corwino Favalon. All right, it's had 2,066 reads. It's titled, My 2 Cents, Two Very Important Variables, the Star and the Money. And this has to do with porn stars who escort. It's on their forum. It reads, like all things in life, the answer to this question will vary widely, but in general be a function of these two primary variables. I have had the good fortune to spend time with a number of well-known girls: Nikita, Alexandria Quinn, Venus, Alana Evans, Debbie Diamond, Sheenan Blanc. And all of those experiences were well worth it. For me, who the girl is has been key. I have generally spent time and money with girls who I consider my favorite porn stars. Getting naked with a total hottie that you have been watching for years has been a total rush for me. I have also enhanced most of these sessions by bringing DVDs of the performer to watch during our sessions. This has been universally greeted with approval, and most girls have said something like, "Oh, cool, I never got a chance to watch my movies." This is a good springboard for discussion about their work, something else that gets me going. On a number of occasions, we have also recreated what we were watching, another fun endeavor. All right, so he goes on, but I'll just skip to the end of this post. Oh, in closing, if you see that a favorite is suddenly providing, in other words, listing themselves as an illegal hooker, you may want to jump on the opportunity. Not all of the girls enjoy the escorting and stop very soon. Case in point, Alana Evans. She had ads up for about 20 minutes a few years ago, and I am so glad I seized the opportunity because it was one of the better sessions. My advice, go for it. My only genuine regrets in life are my foregone opportunities. And again, that was posted 10 years ago by Corwino Favalon on the Erotic Review. Yeah. So again, let's get back to the main question, the whole point of tonight's podcast. Why is it that Stormy Daniels and Alana Evans are not in prison? Why is it that the Democratic Party has put them on a pedestal because they were able to claim, by backing up each other's stories, that they were with Donald Trump illegally as prostitutes? That's what it's about? See, it's that kind of shit that has made me turn from being a Democrat into a Republican. Because why am I going to lend my talents, time, energy, being, vote to a political party that is going to treat a bunch of white privilege enabled illegal hookers better than people of color? That's something that a lot of black people need to think about. When you see these white privilege enabled illegal hookers proclaiming on social media, Black Lives Matter, the only reason that they're saying Black Lives Matter is because the black faces are utilized as a shield when it comes to a whole lot of other political issues and societal issues that are very harmful and dangerous, especially to our youth, being tacked on to the Black Lives Matter cause. Black Lives Matter is not really about black people. It's about a bunch of white privilege enabled criminals. That's what I'm trying to hammer into the head of a lot of you young African Americans out there who may stumble across this podcast. Okay? Now, here's what's very, very scary when it comes to what's going on with Alana Evans in the adult entertainment industry today. From my perspective, she's behind a tremendous amount of bullying that has pushed some women to suicide, and that has had the intent of silencing women and men who have chosen to speak out about the organized crime elements in the adult entertainment industry. In addition, Alana Evans, as of current, is still the she was never elected, but she's the named head of something that was called the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union, which was federally recognized, but fortunately, due to Felicia Ann, who I feel actually may be a victim of Alana Evans, that union, fortunately, today is no longer federally recognized or valid, because Felicia Ann did what she needed to do in order to no longer recognize that union as being valid. She controlled the mother union, something called IAFD. I feel that the reason why Alana Evans chose to attain the presidency of the APAG union from someone who was initially elected, known as Shawn Michaels, has to do with the fact that that union is a very effective vehicle to attain the personal information of quite a few adult entertainers and lock them into the same prostitution and sex trafficking vehicles and framework that the Luxury Companion consisted of. As of current, you have a sex trafficking group known as Kelli Roberts, who is working directly with the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union to create a framework called performer training. That shouldn't be. That operation, known as Kelli Roberts, should have been brought into that sex trafficking scandal and the legalities that surrounded the Luxury Companion and LA Direct models. Kelli Roberts, that operation needs to be charged with sex trafficking, as should likely Alana Evans. There is evidence of the APAG union that Alana is still, quote unquote, president of, having been funded by monies attained from illegal prostitution.
And Tina is actually a very nice lady, and I'm really shocked by her action doing this and protecting her illegal actions when she's doing it with the government. This isn't the government. This isn't just like a willy-nilly fan club or a club, a member club. This is with the government. When all the papers go to the government, everything's got to be. You got to cross your I's. You got to dot your I's and cross your T's. And when you don't do that, you're in big trouble. And this is why she has an investigation going on right now, because of all the legal stuff she did, from her escorting and everything else. Because she did escort too. Let's not forget about that. She escorted, and she funded the union with that escort money. She even had her client fund the union with that money. We have his name and his address.
So I'm thinking that the only reason Alana Evans has enjoyed a certain level of immunity when it comes to her evading prison time has to do with some names that she may theoretically have in a hypothetical little black book. Hopefully, her computers and other devices will never fall into the hands of somebody who could very easily expose her. Just saying. I'm going to go ahead and end that podcast right there. So thank you everyone for joining me on tonight's broadcast of Political News Time.